everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful, somewhat fall feeling Wednesday afternoon, or evening, I should say. We're just waiting for a few more people to join us. So I tonight am going to speak to you about above the keyboard dressing. This is the second time we've talked about this topic because it's super relevant right now. This new work from home lifestyle has forced us to kind of change the way that we not only approach work, but how we dress for work. And we're doing just a lot more at our desk now. And the tips and tricks that we would probably give you if you were going into a board meeting or into an office setting are very different when we're talking about digital. So we wanted to talk about this topic once again, just because we've learned so much. You guys have probably learned so much. And this season, going into the new fall season, there's just so many great options. We've really catered our in-store offering to be a little bit more relevant to what's happening right now. So I just wanted to share some of those with you. So a few more people are joining us, but we'll get started. I just threw this jacket on, actually, over my dress, mainly because one of the big things that I feel is, kind of taking a back seat, but we still feel is super, super important is the jacket. When we wardrobe with you in store, we always, always, always start our appointment with a jacket. It's the foundation of your wardrobe. It's really the key piece that kind of seals everything off. We always talk about the rule of three, and that the jacket is really that third item that kind of just seals the package and just makes everything so relevant. I can appreciate that maybe the typical kind of like corporate power suit that you maybe would wear in the boardroom is no longer relevant, and maybe you find it a little stiff and rigid and uncomfortable. But there's so many great blazers out there that feel and wear like a cardigan, but give you that really polished, chic structure of a traditional blazer. So I can appreciate that, maybe something like this is a little too rigid for Zoom, and you might savor that for when you are going into the office or when you're going out. Actually, this time of year, it's really great because it kind of doubles as your fall blazer. But something like the one that I'm wearing that actually is on the mannequin here, I just didn't know that you could all see it on the mannequin, is amazing. It's made of a Punto Milano fabric. It's super soft, super comfortable. It has lots of stretch so you can move in it. You don't even realize you're wearing it. So something in these easy fabrications, which you're seeing so much of this season, are really important. And it just gives you the confidence and the courage that you need to be impactful on Zoom. So I just wanted to kind of focus on that before we start, because I just feel like the blazer has gotten a bad rap through this whole Zoom business, and it's super, super important still, and the most key item when doing the wardrobe. So this is a really great one from Dorothy Schumacher. It's a little bit cropped, so it's really great over a dress. And it just kind of, especially if you're busty like I am, it's just something that kind of draws the eye in and down. It's polished across the shoulder, it's clean, and it's really simple. And it's a nice place to add black, because we'll talk a little bit about that throughout the webinar, but color is always going to be best online. So that's the jacket that I wanted to talk about. So tonight I'm going to review with you just a few tips and tricks to keep in mind, and I'm going to show you a few pieces that will make a big impact on Zoom that you can incorporate into your wardrobe. So just to kind of start, there's a few key things that everyone should use when dressing for anything, but especially online, and that's the right fit. So the fit is super important. I want everybody to sit up in their chair, put their shoulders up, back, and down, and sit up straight. The worst thing you can do is on Zoom is be hunched over, your blouse is gaping, you're kind of getting all up in your screen. So you want to just remember to sit up straight, up and back, your shoulders, and posture is going to be your number one importance. That will help you with the right fit. So just because you're not in person does not mean that we should sacrifice fit. Fit is super important. You got to make sure that everything is clean. If this was gaping over, you would notice it far more digitally than you even would in person. So making sure that your shoulders are lifted if you need that, your sleeves are the right length, because when you're sitting, at that kind of keyboard length, you're going to get a lot of extra volume throughout the sleeve. So fit and alterations is super important. All of our stylists are trained in store to deal with fit. We have two amazing seamstresses in both locations. So fit is the #1 priority. I don't want that to kind of go amiss just because you're not face to face. The second one would be shopping within your season. That's a whole nother webinar in of itself, so I'm just going to touch on it a little bit tonight. But shopping within your season is super important because when you're online, you can feel darkness under the eyes. All of a sudden, the color can just drain you out, similar to photography. So the lighting, the blue light is a little bit harsh against the skin, so it's super important that you're dressing within your season, which is fall, winter, spring, or summer. Here's a quick little snapshot just so you guys can get a visual. Again, your stylist can help you in store to determine the right season for you, but that's a #1 priority as well as fit, is that you're shopping within your season. It'll just make getting dressed in the morning so much easier. You won't have to pile on the makeup to look alive on screen, and it'll just make everything a lot better translated virtually. The next one is neckline. Neckline is also super important when dealing digitally. If you're busty, I always recommend to do a nice V-neck, or a cowl neck is always really great. You don't want anything that's too plunging, too low cut, especially if you're sitting up a lot closer to your screen. Just be wary of proportions if you're gonna hunch over. You just wanna keep that in mind, especially if you're on a Zoom with many, many people. So neckline is super important. You want something that always elongates your neck, not something that kind of cuts you short. Crew neck is super relevant right now. It's almost a trend, but it's not great for everyone. So if you're super busty, you don't want to be accentuating that by having a crew neck. You're going to want something that's more of a cowl or a V, or something that kind of slips. I love turtlenecks for this reason. They just kind of, give you a pop of color up around the face, they accentuate the neck, and they just kind of are clean, simple. There's no break for people to kind of focus on, because that's something really important too, is you don't want there to be any one point, sight line, where you're kind of stopping and kind of noticing a break. So that's why turtlenecks are really great. We love this one from Dorothy Schumacher. It's got this really great little detail at the neckline, comes in a bunch of amazing colors. We've layered it here in the magenta under a geoprint blouse. I've done that again here just so you can see up close. So these are really amazing, easy layering pieces that kind of can take you anywhere, but they're perfect for Zoom. The other thing is sleeve detail. Sleeve detail this season is the #1 trend. It's all about the sleeve. So like my dress has a great kind of balloon sleeve. I love this frame blouse, which has just this little kind of puff sleeve. This is also a really great neckline if you're busty, so you have kind of like that turtleneck illusion, but it has a little keyhole. So this is really great. It's also great for drinks or date night or anything like that. And then when selecting a print on Zoom, you just want to make sure that it's not too static. So nothing that's kind of goes blurry. So kind of, for example, of a static print would be something like this, something that almost makes you dizzy to look at when you look at it virtually. So you want to avoid things like that and go for something that's a little bit bolder. This would probably be as small of a print as I would go, because as you can see, the further you get away, the kind of more blurred it is, but up front, you really notice it. So it's a great proportion. This again has a really great little puff sleeve. You can wear it closed or open. It does have a keyhole. This is actually removable, which for Zoom I would recommend removing it. So this is a really great blouse that you can do lots with. Translates beautifully, and it's not such a bright bold print that if you're Zooming with the same people day in and day out, that they're going to remember that you wore the blouse maybe more than once in a single week. And here you can see we've paired the same blouse with the magenta Dorothy Schumacher sleeveless turtleneck underneath, which gives you a totally different look, which I love, because layering is going to be super important, especially when you're at home and you're inside, depending on the temperature. I know in the store and in the office it's super cold inside, but not necessarily outside because of air conditioning. So we're always looking for things where we can layer. So that's a really great piece for that. I also want to talk about the cardigan a little bit. Cardigans are almost jacket replacements these days. So again, it still gives you that really chic, kind of draws the eye in and down with the neckline, gives you a little bit of sleeve coverage, and is another really great, easy, comfortable way to kind of get away without wearing a blazer. One thing I would steer clear of on Zoom is sleeveless. I think it's always best to have a little bit of sleeve coverage. One, again, we're eliminating that break line between your arm and your blouse, but also you want to think of everything as above keyboard. So from here up, what's happening, where does the eye go, and you want to kind of just make sure that everything is streamlined. You're not, causing too much distraction. Because the problem with Zoom, and I'm sure all of you have heard of Zoom fatigue, and that's the mindset that we have to process so much more when we work on Zoom because we're looking at ourselves, we're looking at people, we're looking at what other people are doing in the room when someone else is talking. So there's just so much going on the screen that you really just want to make sure that nothing that you have going on you is distracting. So you want to make sure that, your bangles aren't clicking every time you do something or make notes. You just want to make sure that everything is kind of, simple, clean lined, and just really put in place. And black. Black is not necessarily the worst thing to wear on Zoom. And I'll tell you why. I'm of the big mindset that if you feel powerful and confident and really good when you wear black, then you should wear black. Because if that's what makes you feel good, you're going to portray that confidence online and on screen, and that's going to mean more than anything else. So if you feel good in black, absolutely wear black. But you're going to have to do something to kind of draw the eye in and down. So as you can see with this lady here, when I take the necklace off, she almost goes invisible. You don't see anything. You don't see the detail of the jacket. You don't see the contrasting in the fabrications. You don't see anything. So we need something that's going to add a little bit of contrast, also draw the eye in and down. So this is where longer, and these ones are super beautiful, so I will just point those out. Margot Morrison, this is one of her new pieces, which is a chain that I'm obsessed with. So this just kind of adds a little bit of contrast, a little bit of detail, but it'll also draw the eye in and down. So instantly I put that on. I can actually move this a little bit closer because I think this is super important. Just adds a little bit of pop just to make it a little bit more interesting without being loud. So accessories are going to be your best friend when it comes to dressing for Zoom. Earrings, necklaces, rings, anything kind of above the waist is super important. Even belts, if you sit at a desk and you're further away and you can see this part of you. I even had a few clients who were dressing for virtual conferences, and everything was full body. So you are getting a little bit of full body momentum in the Zoom world now, which is new, I think. So anything that kind of draws the eye in and down and accentuates your best assets are still relevant. It's the same when dressing to go out. So earrings are super important, which is really nice because there's lots of great hoops. Statement, love this like pearl baroque. I don't know that I would necessarily wear this, if I was an investment banker trying to, blend in, just because I find that this piece in particular kind of draws the eye here. But if I really wanted to make an impact, if I was doing a Zoom interview, if I was doing something for PR or marketing, I absolutely would, because I think it's a show-stopping piece and it draws attention to my face, which is what we want. I don't want to draw attention, to my chest or to my blouse or anything like that. You always want to draw attention to your face. A few little tips on just like makeup. You should absolutely wear makeup when you are on Zoom, because the blue light from the screen will just sallow your skin. It'll suck the life out of you. So you really just need to make sure that you have, quick concealer. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just smooth it out, blend, 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 blend. And this is where a little bit of shine is nice. You can see I've added shine under my eyes, under my eyebrows. Also accentuating your eyebrows is going to be super important because, again, we really want people to focus on your face and not getting too crazy with lipstick and all of that. Just something clean and simple. You don't need to do a smoky eye or go crazy, but just kind of accentuating your features, smoothing it out, because being on camera is the same as being on a screen. You have blue light kind of shining at you, and although you wouldn't want to do shine for photography, I think for Zoom it translates really well and gives you a nice kind of alive look to your skin, which is really great, because otherwise you can kind of look a bit sallow with the green. with the screen. So we just have a question here. What do you think about graphic prints or writing on tops? So like I said, prints are very, very personal. I think the print can be graphic, but it has to be the right kind of graphic so it doesn't go static like the blazer I showed you. So examples of some really great printed blouses would be this one, but again, this is as small of a graphic print as I would go. And then you could do something a little bit bolder like this, but just keep in mind, like, this is super noticeable. Everyone is going to look at you. I think it translates beautiful on screen, but it's definitely a statement piece. So it depends on the crowd and the purpose of the meeting, but I think print translates really beautifully. It's just really recognizable. So that's the thing, but you know, it's fun, right? And the reality is you are going to be so much happier. Your stress levels are going to decrease if you approach each day as you would in normal times. You get up, you work out, or you do whatever you do in the morning, have your coffee, and get dressed for the day. If you kind of set an intention each and every day to get up and get dressed for work, even if you're sitting at home, you are going to feel so much better. You'll be more productive. You'll be more impactful on Zoom, and your day will just feel a little bit more normal than it does already. It's so important. I can't stress this enough. There's so many theories, but that's a whole another webinar. But the theory of enclosed cognition, give it a Google. It basically states that you perceive yourself by what you're wearing. So if you feel super confident and in control and powerful in what you're wearing, you are going to portray that to everybody else. So I think that's super important on Zoom because we've lost that one-on-one connection. So being impactful with, you know, your mannerisms and how you approach the call is super important. So prints are not a bad thing, but just keep in mind that they have to translate well virtually, and that depends on the crowd. So the other thing I would love to kind of talk about too, just super briefly, is sheer. So sheer is another huge trend. Again, make sure it's appropriate for the crowd, but a really great blouse is something like this. Dorothy Schumacher has a bunch this season. They're really great. It's on the mannequin here, but it's a little hard to see. But this is also a really amazing layering piece. You can wear it under a black jumper dress, just have the neck detail. You can wear it under a cardigan. It looks really cute. If you're going out, you could just do it with a black camisole underneath and wear it at our date night. But for Zoom, it's a really awesome piece because it covers the skin, so it's not showing anything, but it's a little bit more interesting than just a white blouse. I would bow it at the neckline to kind of give you, you know, that look of a necklace or some accessories, but without that. And I just love anything that I can wear many, many different ways. So this is that piece for me where I really feel like it can take me to work, it can take me to date night. It even would be super cute with jeans. So look for pieces that you will wear on Zoom, but you'll also wear off screen because, you know, we want to make sure that everything you buy, especially during these times, is super versatile and you can wear 1,000 different ways. Would also be really great with our little cardigan as well. So that's all I have for you today. If anyone wants to ask any questions, just hover over the bottom screen. There's a chat box. Feel free to ask any questions you might have there. And while we wait for people to input some questions, I just wanted to let everyone know, in case you didn't already, that we are now live at www.hangar9.ca. We have a little bit of e-com. You'll be able to shop all of our webinar features as well as our weekly editorial e-blast. Every week, we'll be launching a new outfit of the week. So this is something that we've been working on tirelessly during COVID, so we're super happy to have finally been able to launch that for you all. You can also shop our care products as well as some of our key essential items from Hanro and Wolford and Hanky Panky. So definitely check that out and stay tuned for some more exciting new announcements that are coming our way in the coming months. The next webinar for October will actually be at the beginning of what we're calling Fashion Month. Where we will be featuring designers for one-on-one Q&As, little fashion shows, because we'll be missing having all of you gathered together for our annual fall fashion show. So lots of exciting things coming in October. Just one more question. Is there a good length for necklaces? I find longer necessary to disappear on my screen. That will totally depend on your screen. So again, how far I find people, if they're using a desktop computer, sometimes are a little bit further. So absolutely. So that's why I chose a choker today. I also really like layering. So I've layered a chain with the pearls with a sentimental piece. So layering is also really, really great because it just adds a little bit of interest. You just want to make sure that when you're layering with necklaces, I'll just use this as an example. You want it to either hit just below your bust line here or above right about here. What you don't want is it to hit right here. You can see almost instantly how it widens me through that area, but you're also drawing the eye there. So the nice thing about all of Margot's pieces is they're 35 inches to begin with, but you can double them. So you could even make it a lariat. You could do it on that. So just keep in mind where you want the eye to go. And that's super important for any sort of dressing. So we want to draw the eye in and down, and the stop point is where you want the line to hit. I would love to see some more fall fashion. I would also love you to see some more fall fashion, Sandra. So we will be definitely, like I said, the whole month of October featuring a different designer every week with Q&As from that designer. It's going to be amazing, but there's so much. Our trend report will also be launching soon, but that's a whole nother webinar in of itself. And yes, and layering, love the idea of layering because that's super important. It just adds a little bit of interest. It makes your pieces so much more versatile. And that way you can also just have a blank canvas and play with it. You can have lots of fun by layering your jewelry. And don't be afraid, especially on Zoom, to do earrings and a necklace. I definitely find that with accessories, something that seems a little bit busy to me in the flesh, on screen is more toned down. So you can definitely get away with wearing both earrings and a necklace and have them be a statement. So thank you so much. Time is up. I want to be sensitive to all of your busy schedules. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm going to throw my personal email in the chat box so that all of you have it. If any questions pop up. And like I said, we have so many exciting announcements coming in the coming weeks with our website, so please stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram, and there's lots more of information and great webinars to come, so we look forward to seeing you then. Okay, miss you all. Thank you.